I would say for the majority of us, the idea of doing a high intensity interval session within a weight session is something that is maybe a bit new to them. How would you think about doing it? Would you do a high intensity interval, assault bike, and then you would do, I don't know, what would be your next exercise? How many more before you take a break and
If
then
the,
circle back?
we'll also know that like if there's somebody who's trying to put on if there's somebody who's looking for hypertrophy, like gaining muscle size, I'm probably not putting that in there, right? Because it's maybe counterintuitive. Maybe I'll give them a lower intensity conditioning program to do outside the gym, like walk, that kind of thing, or walk with a weight vest, or go on a bike ride, that kind of thing. But if it's people we're talking about recomping, that's still the demographic I had in my mind.
For
I'm
sure.
going to put that in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a program that I do often called the nines, and it's going to be that's peripheral heart action based, right? So your body is shunting the blood from one extremity to the other, so the movements will be in succession. But this is not straight set. So if you're trying to body build, this is not
No,
for
no,
you.
no. And I think
This is
that,
not what.
yeah, and I love the idea of body recomp, and that's what most people care about. We'll get to hypertrophy next, but from your perspective, body recomp.
But so I would have you do a compound movement for the lower body, and I probably start you with lower body because you're probably not going to start with lower body. Lift your own devices. So let's just get that out of the way. Then I would
What would you
do.
do? Would that
Uh,
be squat under load? Would it not be under load?
it's going to depend on the person, but some kind of squat, some kind of lunge, some kind of deadlift, some kind of hip bridge, some thrust, that kind of thing. I want to hit the biggest muscle group of the body, right? I want to hit the glutes, and I want to hit the legs, and I want that blood to be shunted to the lower extremity. Then I'm going to put you on something upper body, whether it's a pull or a push, depending on the day, depending on when I'm seeing you next, depending on how often we do this, depending on how often you have done this in the past. And then I'm going to do some kind of core movement, and the core movement is going to vary by plane, um, meaning it's going to be sagittal plane like a crunch, or it's going to be frontal plane like a side bend, or like a Copenhagen plank with a side bend. It goes nicely after a lower extremity movement, or it's going to be something in rotation, right, like a wood chop, a medicine ball slam, that kind of thing. And then probably going to go into a HIIT interval, and that's going to either be like that assault bike, or it's going to be a stairmaster. If you're coordinated athletic, it might be a stairmaster, but going using a crossover step. It's going to be a Jacob's ladder. It's going to be a Versa climber, a ladder mill. It's going to be something like that where you're moving and you're feeling it, and then probably be a water break or a sit down. Like, holy cow, what did we just do? You know.
And just to clarify, the lower body exercise, you pick one lower body exercise and then one upper body exercise, or is it more than that in this
No,
rotation?
so that's in the so if we're doing the nines, like I'm going to go lower, upper, core, hit interval, and then I'm probably going to repeat it: lower, upper, core, hit interval with different
I love
movements.
it. And that's for 9
Right?
times? Is it for 9 times?
No, no, no. I probably go through it three times, maybe two in the beginning. And I tell people sometimes, look, in the beginning, my goal is to get through this three times, and sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 8, but just ballparking. Depends on how many of them are unilateral, right? Like if we have to do left side then right side, like if it's a lunging pattern, that's going to take more time, and we're on the clock when they come in. That's going to take more time than if we're doing a squat, right? Just because one side then the other. And then at the end, we usually I often add a little thing you call dessert. And it's, I always go, oh, it's gluten free. Come on, you like this. And some people are like, oh, I'm skipping dessert today. I'm like, you're not. And that'll be something that can be, I mean, it could be anything, but it's usually something that's going to ramp you up, right? We don't go down on
Mm.
dessert. Like it's going to be an overhead carry for distance. It's going to be an overhead carry for time. It's going to be a wheelbarrow or a sled, or inertia waves, or it's going to be something that gasses you, and it'll take anywhere from a minute, probably the shortest, but probably 90 seconds to 3 minutes. And to me, it leaves you leave on a high note. So there's a positive association with the experience you just had. You leave like that, which is a great way to leave the gym. But then I also stretch them, so they come down from that. And when they're doing that dessert, I pop open the table where I stretch them, and it's so Pavlovian. I've had people say to me that that's my favorite sound when I hear that table pop open. That's my favorite sound. It means I know I'm done. And then you stretch, and then they're out.
Hmm. What is the rep range that you're looking at for the lower body, upper body portion?
Depends. I mean, not to be vague, but depends on the movements, right? If they're new to this, it's going to be somewhere, and this is a big rep range, 8 to 15, 8 to 12. But if we're doing something like a step up clean and jerk with a dumbbell, as an explosive movement, is probably going to be 6 to 8, maybe.
Mm.
You've got central nervous system concerns. You don't want to smoke them and have them get all wonky and sling dumbbells over and get injured.
You mean
I
like
pride
me this
myself on.
morning? Yeah, I get it. I get
Is that what happened? That's
it.
bad.
Yeah.
That's
No, no,
it's
no.
rough. You see, people, and then they start going, "I can do this," and they're slinging the dumbbell like you're going to hurt somebody, and it's probably going to be you.
Totally.
So let's pump the brakes and bring it. Let's bring it down.
And individuals, you would have them do that 5 days a week. So that would be a great recomposition for 5 days a week.
That's a great recon for 3 days a week, and then I would have them add 2 activities on 2 of the other days. And if that activity is a sport, even better, because so many people get away from sports. And a sport can be cycling, it can be tennis, it could be pickleball, it could be whatever your thing is. And I'm not saying bowling's not a sport, that's a whole other conversation. But if you're drinking beer during the sport, we're on different pages.
Right.
So come on, guys.
That is hilarious. And after that, how fast do people anticipate seeing changes? People obviously want to see it right away. I'm sure it depends on age, but do people ask you, how fast is it going to be till I see some change in my body?
All the time. And then I go, look, 168 hours in a week. You're here. You told me you're here 3 times this week. First of all, let's see if you're here. But then also tell me what you're going to do during the other 165.
Yeah.
Right.
And then do you have them say, okay, you're going to hit a target walking goal? I mean, you've gassed them pretty bad 3 days a week, which is amazing. Do you have them do other things? I know you said the other 2 days sport, but what about the non-exercise activity?
Well, I say sport or activity. I say sport if I can get you to do sport. If it's activity, it's activity. If I can get you to walk in one direction 15 minutes and then turn around and try to get back to your start point in less than 15, that forces you to keep a pace, and you can do that before dinner or after dinner, that kind of thing. I'll take that as an activity.
Mm.
If it's something more robust, yay. And closer to your goal. And if you're making better choices at the table and better choices at the bar and better choices at bedtime, all those things play their respective parts in this overhaul we're doing here. So that's, again, it goes back to, I can't take the blame, I can't take the credit. We're doing something here. I didn't feel sore from that yesterday. Okay. Are you saying we didn't do it? Did I imagine that you were here? Like, I know what you did. You know what you did. That SOAR is just one benchmark. Like, there's so many ways to look at the efficacy of a program.